Hello, I am back, and I'm so sorry I didn't actually do what I said I was going to do. For my initial video, I said I was going to follow up with the next video about each one of these constructive responses from the Texas 268 exam, and I was going to do it within the next weeks. But after thinking about it, I said, you know what? Let me see if this actually helped me. So I waited around for my results to come back. And do know this, if you didn't know, it takes a month. It took a whole month, but I passed, and I passed fairly well. So I was very impressed by my score. So now back, I'm confident to say that my strategy was a good approach. Remember, I want to give kudos out to the other video of you that I actually got the idea from. It's another YouTube video. I may attach it so you can see it too. She didn't go into detail, but she said she focused on the constructive responses. And after watching that video, I was like, that's a good strategy. So let's do it. We're going to go and talk about the 268 constructive response question number 1. And hopefully, by me focusing on just that one this time, it'll make the video fairly short. I want to make them bite-sized. We got stuff to do in life. Okay, so let's do it. Remember I said I looked at the questions and created my own little graphic organizers for it. So this is what I use for my constructive response number 1. But ultimately, regardless of whatever graphic organizer that I kind of created in my head, the backbone of everything is dealing with like a CER strategy, claim, evidence, reason strategy. This is a fundamental science strategy that I've used many years in my classes. And all it does is you make a claim. They ask you a question and you make a claim. But then with that claim, you have to have some kind of evidence that kind of justifies the reason why you're making that claim. And then after you stated your claim, provided your evidence, then you have to kind of sum it up with some reasoning that links the claim and the evidence together. It's like your rationale. Okay. So that's my approach for every one of these questions. And I know this was correct because when you read the practice test and they're telling you, making suggestions to you, what they keep emphasizing is to cite evidence, cite evidence, cite evidence. And they want to know, they want to see as much, they want to see that you can look at data and pull it out. Look at certain anecdotal data, qualitative, quantitative data, and just a whole bunch of resources and be able to pull information out of that and utilize it. Okay. So, so here is this is a constructive response question number 1 that's in the practice test online. I didn't put all the information on there, the background story, the scenario. I'm not putting that, and you don't even have to read that at the top. I just want you to focus on the A, B, C, D. So they're asking for you to identify one high leverage instructional practice that is needed, not just one that you like, but one that's needed based on the scenario that was provided. And then key, ding, 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 justify your selection. So you have to make sure you explain it. They want you to identify that high leverage action step. So once you identify the strategy, how you're going to put that in place. And then they want you to, as a coach, because you're coaching up the teacher, what's a guiding question you can get them to that will help you, that you can use to probe them, to get them to see what their high leverage instruction practice, which high leverage instruction practice they need to work on. Remember, this test is a coach's dream. It was a hard exam, I will say that. But I've been coaching for 5 years. And I said, if I flunk this exam, shame on me. Because all the questions are typically geared toward coaching. There's a few that are not, but for the most part, that's all they want. The title of this test implies everything about this test. It's principal as an instructional leader. It's all about coaching here. Okay. And so D says, explain how the action step in the question will work together to improve the teacher's practice and supporting student learning. So that's the reasoning of it. Okay. And then mainly at the bottom, it basically tells you to cite evidence. Cite evidence. So here's a little graphic organizer I kind of created. Now, some things, remember I said that I'm utilizing at the end of the day, claim, evidence, reasoning. Whatever question they ask, I'm going to make a claim. I'm going to provide some evidence using some quantitative data, ideally from the information that they provide. And then I'm going to sum it out by providing my reasoning for it. So with the constructive response, do know it covers two domains. It covers domain 2, because that's instructional leadership. And it also covers like human capital. It's basically what kind of trainings you would provide for them. Okay. But this question is a lesson planning question. It is, they give you like standards. Then they give you the lesson plan created by a team or an individual, what have you. And they give you a video of you looking at them. I think they was looking at them doing the lesson in class. And what they want you to do is work with the person on creating a more robust lesson plan. So can you help people in their planning of their lessons? That's how this is. What I found, because I've done this practice test, I did the paper practice test, I did the online practice test, I did a release practice test, I did the test. And what I found that more often than not, when I looked at each one of the questions, each one of those tests, and looked at the exemplars that they provided different sample responses that received different grades. The ones that were scored a 4, the ones that were scored a 3, 2, and a 1. I focused on score 3 and score 4. And to be honest, what I did was I took it myself. I answered it fully before I looked at any answer. And then I compared my answer to it to see if it was a 4 answer, a 3 answer, a 2, or a 1. And what I've discovered is more often than not, my answer was like a 4. Okay. Which is good because I was highest. But some of my justifications or evidence was not as strong. So after looking at all these different practice tests and looking at all those different scored samples, what I discovered is your high leverage instruction practice most likely is going to be for you to teach a certain explicit skill. Whatever, and the scenario is going to determine what skill it is, but it's basically to explicitly teach a certain skill. So you have to be able to kind of figure out what skill it is. And then you need to have at least about 2 examples, cite evidence from either from the actual lesson video that you watch, or from the lesson plan, or you can say something to the effect of, I don't know, most likely it's going to be from the video. I will do both. Something I saw from the video, but something I saw in the lesson plan itself. And those would be my evidences. The action step would be to alter your lesson cycle structure so that you incorporate areas in which you can explicitly teach this skill. So you're going to explicitly model the skill. So wherever your I do section is, you're going to explicitly in your lesson plan write out a way that you're showing you're modeling how to do that particular skill. And then you're going to align the practice, the independent practice and the group practice with the rigor of the objective. Okay? 2 things. Explicitly model the skill in your instruction and allow the students to practice that skill. Make sure that it's aligned to the rigor of the objective. Okay. The guiding question, the best guiding question for that would be, how do you determine if students really understand what they are expected to do? Because if you ask that question to the teacher, they have to think about it. They have to think, do I know that they know what they're expected to do? Not how do you know that they learned it? Not that. It's a skill issue. They missed a skill. So how do you understand that the students really understand what they're expected to do? And then hopefully you can kind of keep guiding them back to, oh, maybe I didn't teach it explicitly. Okay. And then at the end of that, you just explain it. You explain how the action step, the instructional practice, the action step and guiding question will eventually help that teacher improve their instruction and therefore increase student learning. So that was really my approach for question number 1. I'm going to stop the video here, and I'm going to make another video for question number 2 and probably number 3 together, because both of them are very similar. They were both deal with exit tickets, okay? But if you like the video, please remember, subscribe, and you can put, I think I can put a comment at the bottom, but please subscribe. Thanks. I'll see you in a bit.